Hello and welcome to your final module number 6, tweaking, refining, and realigning our plans. I really love this content. I think it's fun actually. And as I've said, your plan is a living, breathing document. It's so much more than paper. It's energy that flows with you, your intentions, your visions, and how you align to it. It's how you bring things into your experience. So if you haven't caught bonus video number from module 3, that takes you through how to use your soul plan and maintain it throughout the year from a nuts and bolts perspective. And this is really about evaluating whether or not you are on track to hit your goals, plans, intentions, dreams, however you see them. And ultimately, it's we get these big dreams, right? And we want to bring them into our experience, and we can see and we can check in on our journey to see if we are on track. And if we are on track, hallelujah, happy dance. And if we're not, which is part of it, we're always 100% of the time, from time to time, we're going to get off track. It's part of it. That's how you get on track, by getting off track. So it's that whole idea that it's not failure, it's feedback. It's not failure, it's feedback. But if you just hone in on the failure and say, oh, I better quit because I'm failing, that's how things start to fall flat. Instead of pausing, how did that go? What do I want to keep? What do I want to change? And let me do it again. And I've seen it so often, especially with entrepreneurs, because it does take quite a bit of time for most of us, not everyone, to really get that momentum going on our businesses. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs feel like quitting early because they haven't received the evidence that their dreams, plans, and intentions are coming into their experience fast enough, or at a rate that feels comfortable if they have bills to pay. So this is the process of looking for the evidence, because sometimes we just get going in our day and we forget to pause and look for the evidence that indicates that we are either on track or off track. And if you are new to something, let's say you are new to business. I'm just going to give you a coaching example. You can apply this, though, to any any big dream you want to bring into your life. Let's say you're a coach and you want to get fully booked, and you've defined fully booked as 10 clients, and you have one, and you can't seem to get more than one, and it's a buddy of yours from high school who decided to hire you. And so you're efforting, and you're not getting those additional clients in. And so then it's like, then you start to get in that I'm failing. And whenever you put something out there and people don't sign up for it, it's like, look, evidence I'm failing. What you want to do in a situation like that is to hit the strategic pause button and say, what do I need to do differently to attract that ideal client? How do I need to show up differently to attract that ideal client? And pivot down to the heart, like we've talked about a million times in this workshop, and see what inspired action is calling you to take to attract in that soul sister or soul brother client, and take that inspired action. In fact, if the inspired action is truly that and is coming like a feeling from your heart, you have to take it in order to manifest it. It's not optional. So yeah, our dreams do require inspired action. It's not only action, but that is a part of it. And then when you take the inspired action, you don't want to wait a day or two and say, okay, after 2 days, am I fully booked now? Have I just signed on 9 clients? No, I wish evidence came in that fast. Evidence doesn't always come in a big barrage that you are, signups to consultations, people buying packages, it's flying off the shelf. Normally, you get an email from someone who says, wow, I loved your blog post. That's interesting. Can you tell me more? That's evidence. That little email that we're like, oh, yeah, she just asked a question. She didn't even hire me. Those little things that come in, our brain will want to dismiss them and say, yeah, well, that's not what I want. But that's evidence that you're putting something out there that's resonating, right? And you want to look for that evidence and get into that energy of that often triggers a core valued feeling state. So you get that email from that person who says your blog post resonated. How does that feel when you give yourself permission to be like, wow, I wrote something that really resonated with someone? That feels like contribution. That feels like connection. That feels like joy. That feels like giving. That feels like receiving. And get into that energy instead of that. The brain will want to go in that situation to, well, she sent me this email, but she didn't hire me. And that will trigger feelings of failure and defeat. So looking for that evidence is a really important practice. And you're not looking for the big evidence that indicates all of your goals and dreams are arriving tomorrow. You're looking for that little subtle thing to show up. If you want to make a change in your relationship, you cannot expect your partner to change overnight. You have to give him credit or her credit for every little way that they show up that's more in alignment to how you want them to show up. And if they come home every day and complain about their day, and you feel like that's a drag, and one day instead of complaining for 10 minutes straight, they complain for 8 minutes straight, notice that. Say something. Give that person credit. See that as evidence. Right? The evidence that you're actually in alignment. Your brain, because of the negative bias of the brain, will always take you to where things are failing as it perceives its perception of failure. Because I have it all the time with clients where they come to me and say, well, this happened and it failed. And I say, but what about that good thing and that good thing and that good thing? And their entire energy changes. And they're like, oh, yeah, that was all pretty good, wasn't it? So when you perceive you're failing, just remember that that's just it. That's a story you're telling yourself. And instead of calling it failure, tweak it to feedback and be curious about it. Whenever you put on an I am learning curious mindset, we get into a lighter energy. And what that decreases our attachment to the outcome. Likewise, if things are really out of alignment, that normally doesn't come in the form as a defeating negative thought from the brain. When you are truly out of alignment, that comes in the form of constriction, shallow breathing, tightness, heaviness. The body will tell you when you are out of alignment, when you're going down a path that might need to be tweaked and refined, you're going to feel heavy. That feeling of like out of sorts. And your soul will tell you. Your soul will always tell you when to pivot. So these times of out of alignment is an especially important time to not listen solely to the opinion of your brain that's going to be churning out all sorts of crazy thoughts that, oh, we shouldn't have been here. We should have never gone down this path. And maybe you're on the exact right path, but you need to take just a little tiny turn to the left. And all of a sudden, bam, back into alignment. The other thing this process does of collecting evidence for when things are going well or less well is it builds your trust muscle with your intuition. Your intuition at times, that soul voice is going to tell you at times will tell you to go down some crazy paths. And you're like, no, I'm not doing that. Are you mad? This has happened to me a lot. And you're going to resist it and you're not going to want to do it. But the more you actually follow through on those calls and the more you get evidence, even when it seems nuts, that it's actually you're on purpose, on path, in alignment to where you are supposed to be, the more you build that trust muscle to your intuition and your other non-physical guides and universal intelligence who are here. All that collection of consciousness is here to help support and guide you. We human beings are not meant to do this on our own. And yes, we rely on human guides, which is important, but there's a lot of non-physical guides out there with infinite wisdom and resources and vision and love that are also here to guide us. So rely on that, tap into that, take inspired action from those calls, and then develop your trust muscle to all of those sources of wisdom. Your plan, because it's living and breathing, it needs to be fed and watered and walked, and it needs to be tended to. As I said in the bonus video, once a month is perfect. If that's too much, you can also do once a quarter. And so it's always a good idea to come up with a plan to tend to your plan. Like when do you plan to update your plan? And can you block that stuff out on your calendar now? I try to block out the 2 hours from my calendar the first Wednesday of every month for a monthly planning ritual. And then the first Wednesday of every quarter, I try to go somewhere nice and do a quarterly planning ritual from a spa or from a nice restaurant, or in nature. So develop a plan now to tend to your plan so it does stay fresh, alive, aligned, and relevant and working for you, supporting you, helping you. As part of that, you also want to think of how are you going to reward and treat yourself for tending to your plan and for other things that you achieve throughout the year. We do not treat and reward ourselves nearly enough. Our culture teaches us that that's selfish. It's a waste of time, money, all the things. Brainstorm various ways that you can reward yourself after a job well done, or you've updated your plan, or anything that you just feel like you deserve a teeny tiny or even a bigger reward for yourself for completing it or achieving it or doing it or whatever it is. My rewards include definitely therapeutic massage. I'm a total massage snob. Day spas. I love to hang out at a day spa. I'm someone who needs to be pampered quite a bit. And my husband's from New England, and they're from like old conservative New England family. And he was like, that is ridiculous. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I am someone who requires pampering. And when I don't give myself permission to be pampered, I feel that energetically. So yeah, I need like a solid day every month or a couple of months at a day spa where I'm just getting like manied and pettied and facialed and massaged. And I know that this is actually what I really need to show up as a harmonious, balanced, energetic, happy person. So giving this a little bit of thought, brainstorming this actually helps you because it's part of your plan to give yourself permission to actually give you these rewards and treats when the time comes. Lastly, check out bonus video number 6. I developed what I believe is a fantastic tool to help you check in and see if you are indeed in alignment to your visions, goals, intentions, dreams, and if you are not, how you can shift back into alignment. So be sure to check out bonus video number 6. And thank you for being on this My Soul Plan journey. I'm so grateful for you. I believe really strongly in this work. And so the work that you're doing now, you may not feel it or it may not seem that important, but it really is aligning you for years and years to come. So well done for showing up and doing this work.